Hello, folks in internet land. I want to talk about Pokemon, which is not something I've done before on the channel. It's been on my mind lately, that Pokemon stuff. So here's what we're gonna do today. The big thing here is I want to make a pitch for some mechanics and systems and scenarios that could be applied to Pokemon Legends Arceus. So I'm gonna pitch hardcore Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's potentially something different in terms of gameplay and world design, and it got the wheels turning. It got the wheels turning, and I want to talk to you about some of the ideas I've had. I'm sure that no one else has pitched their own hardcore version of Legends Arceus. Don't search that, just trust me on that. I'm sure I'm the only one with this idea, and it's gonna be great. These are wonderful ideas that I'm gonna pitch to you. Okay, so I have 5 ideas here, 5 sort of concepts that I want to pitch to you that would make Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I really hope is the right name because I keep saying it, something different and something much more challenging. Okay, the very little amount of information we've gotten about this game so far based on that initial trailer, it's like an open world, or at least mostly open world Pokemon game set in the distant past. You are apparently filling out the first Pokédex. I think both the changes in setting, or time period rather, and the basics of the gameplay, I think these offer a huge opportunity to make things more challenging and to do different stuff. And the very first idea that I'd like to pitch to you is no Pokemon centers. I don't want them. I don't want to see them here. That might sound a little bit extreme, and especially when we don't know whether you're going to be moving to different like towns or settlements. Everything looks very barren, and people have also speculated that there could be like a sort of town building element thing, which we might talk about a little bit later. Regardless, we can assume that it's a relatively unsophisticated Pokemon world landscape, so no Pokemon centers. I'm gonna say, if they're just making the first Pokédex, they've barely managed to figure out Pokeballs, no Pokemon centers. That's advanced technology. If you can't consistently go to Pokemon centers, I think that immediately makes battling and even just traversing the world much more interesting, because obviously Pokemon has a habit of being pretty darn grindy. Ultimately, if you want to be real safe going into a battle, you can just over-level your team, you can just grind to hell and back, and if you find yourself, oh no, some of my team's getting knocked out by grinding or some of these battles, you just immediately head to a Pokemon Center. You could just have one battle and then go right back to the Pokemon Center, get everybody refreshed. I don't want that here. I would be okay with having like a sort of version of a Pokemon Center and the home base village. I'm assuming for this game that you're going to be working out of one main village or one main location and then venturing outwards into the wilderness. If you are regularly returning to this village, sure, there can be some kind of like healing center thing, or maybe you just say like at the end of a given game day, you can say, you want to rest up, now this will end your play for the day, but any Pokemon you have in your possession will get healed up completely, and then the next day you can start out fresh. I would be fine with that, but it's not like an unlimited resource. If you choose to do that and rest up your Pokemon to full health, you're essentially progressing to the next game day, and those aren't limitless. So what do you do for healing outside of that sort of rest center, or that version of a Pokemon Center, is just materials, items, right? Obviously we have all sorts of potions and other buffs that you can purchase as items in the other Pokemon games, but here I'm going to assume they don't really exist, or there's like herbal, holistic medicine alternatives for Pokemon, so like you can still buy some sort of weak healing items here and there, but given the open world format that we've seen so far, why not just make it a material gathering thing? Either just material gathering where you gather healing items, or you potentially do some really basic crafting. Even the camp and cooking systems in Pokemon Sword and Shield, you could totally do that here and it would actually serve a purpose. We don't necessarily want to make this like a survival game, but if you give that sense of actually having an adventure, I think that fits into it really well, that you're just out there on your own. It's just you and the Pokemon. Ways to heal out in the world that, for one thing, are limited as compared to Pokemon centers, and for another thing, make you actively feel like you and your Pokemon are fending for yourselves. Next one. And this is kind of a twofer. This is a pretty big idea. So we can argue about this, I guess, back and forth in terms of what constitutes boss battles in most of the Pokemon games. I guess people would probably say gym battles. Maybe legendary Pokemon in some instances kind of serve the purpose of a boss battle in certain ways. But in this one, I'm assuming there aren't going to be established Pokemon gyms. In fact, I'm expecting 0 Pokemon gyms. Going off that assumption, I think the way that you could insert those sort of climactic boss moments is to have not legendaries, but high-level Pokemon localized to different parts of the wilds surrounding this village. Successfully battling those Pokemon essentially unlock further exploration in a certain area. Make these stronger Pokemon consistent. Okay, you're exploring. Oh, I know where this is. I can set up like a little watchtower or something, which in some way benefits the village and in some way makes it easier for you to survive out there when you're on your own. But, over here, I can't go any further because if I go past this certain threshold, I immediately aggro a pretty strong Pokemon, or relatively strong compared to my party. So, not only does this give a form of a boss battle, you feel like you're really doing it on your own, and you feel like, oh, this is a necessity. Oh no, this is a completely believable reason why I can't go any farther past this point. And if you're successful, I think that would be really rewarding, and I think that we can also make this an opportunity, or make these fights opportunities to give a sort of moral choice to the player, and by that I don't mean like, oh, do you like murder a Pokemon or be nice to it, not like BioShock kind of rules, but like, how about this? With each of these battles, just like facing legendaries in the early games, you can either try to catch it, which is probably going to be really tough, and eventually train it up to be an obedient Pokemon that serves the greater good or whatever the motivation is here. Or you can just flat out battle it, get it out of your way, and move on, almost like a sort of Team Rocket mentality, right? Of, oh, Pokemon are just tools, if they're in the way, I don't care. I think that's an interesting choice to ask the player to make, especially when the player finds out that choice, or these repeated choices in different battles, have impact on the story and the world. How about this? Technically, it might be easier to beat one of these sort of boss Pokemon in a battle. It might be faster than trying to wear it down and catch it. The more often you do that, then the next time you reach one of these boss Pokemon that's blocking your exploration in some way, they're going to be X amount more aggressive. They're going to be a little bit harder to beat in that way. It's sort of a moral choice, it's sort of guiding your impact on this world, but it's also kind of a difficulty choice too. My third idea is pretty simple. Basically, I don't want Fly, and maybe not even some of the other HMs. I think sometimes, especially Fly, can make things a little bit too easy in terms of it's a fast travel option. At least for most of this game, I feel like a really convenient fast travel option wouldn't make a lot of sense. The gameplay and the setting, that's, again, it's not exactly a technology thing like Pokemon centers, but I still feel like it's, for the player, it's a convenience thing. And I don't think this game really needs to be about convenience. I think it's more about carving your own way, doing things in a cruder fashion maybe in some cases. I'm not seeing a bike in this one either. I'm not seeing a bike. And that's not to say that there shouldn't be some faster means of traversal that you can unlock, or maybe even a fast travel option down the line after you've done a lot of work in the game. But I just don't see those things fitting into this game in particular. And in terms of how these affect difficulty and make it more of a quote-unquote hardcore experience, if you don't have that fast travel option to head right home to safety, you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful, especially if there are tough Pokemon out there. So let's move on to number 4. Your character has health in this game. That's what I'm proposing. It's something I really, really want, because they keep that silly trailer kind of tries to show this off as like, oh, it's like an action RPG, like open world action RPG. You got your dodge roll for some reason, and so why not that your character has health? Now, your character's health wouldn't be a major sort of central concern like it is in other games. Your health is really only a big point of concern in Arceus when all your Pokemon are fainted. That's the last stage before you do reach some kind of, not game over state, or just like a whiteout state, and you have to reset to like the next game day or something like that. With that in mind, yes, your Pokemon are ultimately like your first line of offense and defense. They're your best bet of getting out of the situation safely. But if they're all gone, if they all get wiped out, you still have a slim chance to get out of that situation and back to safety. I think that would be so much fun. And not only that, but it would also open up the possibility of really, like, I don't want to make this too complicated, but even just having like basic armor sort of mechanics, right? Or just like some kind of defensive stats that you can apply to your character. It could even be that maybe that's a faster means of traversal. It's just having like, oh, I got these special shoes that the shoemaker woman made for me, and now I can run a little bit faster, especially when my team's wiped out and I'm in danger. I get like a little buff in that scenario. Now I have a little bit better chance of running away, because I would suspect in this game, running from a Pokemon battle would involve literally running away from the battle. I think that would be cool. Maybe other people think that's heading too much into the territory of like other action games and really heavy combat-based games. And I'm not proposing that your character has a weapon. No. Your character's not going to be hitting Pokemon with sticks. That's not a thing. It's still about Pokemon battling and strategy being your best way out of a situation. That's if every Pokemon gets wiped out, you still got a shot. You got to be real careful. It's suddenly like a stealthy thing. You have to watch your back. And my last big idea, I have heard people talk about this with regards to just the mainline games in terms of something that they would like to see, or something that they think would add to the difficulty or just a sense of fun and ownership, is gym creation. After you get to a certain point of success, or after you've beaten maybe all the gym leaders or whatever in one of the mainline games, you get to make your own gym. I'm hoping that we don't see a ton of widespread gyms in other villages and towns. If you're going to do that, it's just another mainline game. And this is, again, this is something that other people have touched on as an idea, and it's one that I really, really like, is the concept of town building element. And I'm not saying, oh, you're going to be crafting buildings and like doing town management sim game mechanics. If there are just basic town building elements that you contribute to, even if just with your progression, that would feel really cool, especially once you get to feel that this village, this starting village, is your home base and its safety. You help improve certain buildings and resources there. It could improve how many Pokemon you're able to have at a given time in your party. Just sort of unlocks. And then sort of the crown jewel of that system would be creating your own gym, or helping to create what may be the very first Pokemon gym. How much fun would that be? Not only are you getting to make a gym, you're helping to establish what gyms are, like what they're about and why they even exist. Like, you know, that it's a test for trainers, and that it's supposed to foster a sense of cooperation with Pokemon and strategy and the more intelligent side of battle. Maybe they're just a series of challengers, and that's sort of the tail end of the game, is proving that you are worthy to be a gym leader, or that this town stands for something with regards to the relationship between humans and Pokemon. Again, I'm not a Pokemon expert. I'm not saying, hey, these are incredible game design ideas. I'm not saying that any of this will indeed show up in Legends Arceus. But deep down, I think a lot of this stuff would add just some of the challenge that a lot of people have been looking for in this fan base. Now, some of the stuff I talked about is potentially like difficulty choices, like you are making choices that determine how tough things are going to be for yourself and for your Pokemon. Or the game in general could just be more challenging because it's not a mainline game. It's clearly a test to try out a new style of game design, a world design. Why not let this one be a little bit different? Why not this one be a little bit more adventurous? Because if the core elements of the entire Pokemon series have been, you know, a sense of adventure, a really strong sense of progression through the world and making your Pokemon stronger, and just the relationships that you have with those Pokemon, all of that can still happen here with every one of the ideas I talked about. And if it also gets to be more challenging and interesting on a game design level, best of both worlds, I think it would be fun. Do you think it would be fun? Or are these just crazy ideas? Am I rambling too much? Is it really warm in this room? It's very warm and I'm underneath a blanket to record audio, and it's rough. But thank you so much for listening. Sorry for the lack of fancy editing. I just wanted to get it out. Just let me know what you think. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by.